service. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
What's up, J17? That's probably gonna fall. It's fine. Whatever. How y'all doing? Good. Oh, y'all are ready. I love that. I'm so excited. All right. So tonight we are just gonna dive right in. Are y'all okay with that? Y'all ready? All right. So the title of this message is "Fight, Not Flight." Thanks. Okay. So y'all have probably heard before that saying, or like when you encounter fear or something bad comes up, it triggers either your fight or flight instinct, right? All right. How many of y'all think you're fighters? You're like, I'm throwing hands if something happens. Not as many, but okay. How many of y'all are like, nah, peace out, I'm gone? Okay, I like to think that I'm a fighter, but honestly, like if someone came to kidnap me, like I'm gone, peace out, I'm running away. Like that is literally me. But tonight, I want to talk about choosing to fight fear instead of choosing to fly away. And so, backstory. So I was praying for this message, and I was just praying like, God, I don't even know what you want me to say. Like, what the heck, bro? And honestly, I didn't really get anything until this past week. I was in my car just praying on my way home one night. How many of y'all are car prayers? You're like, I am going in. If you don't have a car yet, I'm sorry. But when you have a car, you are going to know. Car prayers are the best because you can go in. You can just like be going and you're like, God, like you were so good and stuff. And no one really knows that you're going in unless you stop at a red light. Then people see you and it's really awkward because then they think you're talking to yourself. But it's okay. But anyways, I was praying over you guys. And I felt led to talk about fear. And so I was just praying. I was going down and I was like, God, I just pray right now that, you know, if they're facing fear right now, that they would not be consumed by it. They would not hold them back. And he just dropped this in my spirit, and he said that they'll never walk in freedom as long as they're walking in fear. And I was like, dang, that's good, but like, what's that even mean, bro? Like, what you talking about? And first off, when I say fear, I don't mean like fear of spiders fear, okay? Like, I don't mean like bugs or snakes or anything like that, okay? On the count of three, I want to know what your biggest fear is, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Lots of spiders. Me too. But anyways, that's not the fear I'm talking about, all right? Now, y'all, when I say fear, hey, guys, thank you. When I say fear, I mean the real fear. I mean the fear of people seeing the real you. I mean the fear of letting someone down. I mean the fear of not having control. The fear of messing up. I mean the real fear, the ones that we don't really talk about, that we just kind of like, you know, just scrape under the rug because we don't want to talk about it. I mean that kind of fear. And I was like, all right, God, like, I need you to give me some more. Like, tell me some more about this. Like, we can't walk in freedom as long as we're in fear. And he showed me this visual. And half of y'all may not know what I'm talking about. But back in, like, old times when they had, like, plays or, like, comedians or stuff, they would, like, be on stage and they'd be doing their act. And, you know, like, if it went bad, then, like, the crowd was booing and stuff, they'd have that hook come out. And they'd, like, take them and, like, pull them off the stage. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, I literally didn't know what it was about. Like, I didn't even know what it was called and stuff, so I had to look it up. That's when I know it's God, because I don't even know where it came from. But that's what I visualized, and he said that's what's happening. Every single time they go to step out, that they're like, ooh, I'm going to say this at school. I'm gonna be this person's friend. I'm going to say this at J17. You're like, I'm about to step out. Fear comes, and it pulls you off the stage and says, no, you can't do that. And it's holding us back. And so I want to kind of give you all this visual, and so I'm going to move this real quick. I am. All right, I need a volunteer, so I'm going to get Julian to come up here real quick for me. Thanks. I appreciate it so much. So I'm going to make this a little more like you can visualize it with me. You can face this way. So this is you right here. This is us. Let's say you're worshiping at J17. Can you worship for me? Like pretend you're worshiping? Oh, that's a good stance. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so this is you, and you're at J17. You're worshiping your little hearts out, okay? You were singing them songs, even though you don't sound good. You were praying them prayers. You were lifting your hands, everything. And you feel like this little nudge, like, all right, I'm supposed to say something, or I need to go pray over this person. And you're like, I'm going to do it. And then fear comes, and fear says, what you think you're doing? No, I just literally hit you in the head. I'm so sorry. But fear says, you can't do that. What do you mean you're going to step out? What if you mess it up? What if you don't sound good when you're praying? What if you don't sound fancy? Like, what if it doesn't turn out the right way? That's what fear says. And so as soon as you're about to do it, fear says, I don't think so. You can't do that. Or maybe this is you. I promise I'm going to try not to hit you this time. Or maybe this is you, and you have a relationship that you're in right now. Or you have some friendships, and you're like, these are draining me. And this is not something that I need to be in right now. This is not something I know it's bad for me. And I feel empty because of it. And so you're like, all right, I need to break up with him. I need to break up with her. Or the next time they ask to hang out, I'm not going to go because I know I don't need to. And you're about to do that. But as soon as you're about to say no, fear comes and fear says, but what if you end up alone? Like, what if you're all by yourself? What if you don't have any friends? What if you don't have anyone to show you love? Fear comes in and it just pulls you off the stage and it says, you can't do that. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What if you're alone? What if all these things? It's always what if. And that's what fear is doing. You can have a seat. Thank you so much. But that's what fear is doing. Fear is saying, are you kidding me? You can't do that. Why are you trying to step out? You don't have that authority. You can't talk right. You can't do this. You can't do that. Fear comes and it's pulling you off the stage and it's hindering you from doing what you're supposed to do. It's keeping us bound. It's keeping us in a place to where we're numb. You see, fear is debilitating, and that's a fancy word. Pretty much just means numb. You can't move. It's holding us back. And it's okay to have fear, but it's not okay to stay in it. It's not okay to stay in it. Y'all, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'll be scared. I'm going to be super honest. I was terrified this week. Terrified this whole night, honestly. I'm scared right now. Like, I was terrified of preaching right now. And I didn't really realize it was fear until he showed me this message. He was like, Maddi, you're afraid to mess up. You're afraid that you're not going to get a word from me, and so you're just going to kind of do your own thing. You're afraid that they're not going to listen to you or they're not going to understand. And he was showing me that I have fear too. We all have this fear, and it holds us back from walking in a freedom and being so on fire for him like we could be. And so I want to look at this story of Elijah real quick. And so backstory, there's this King Ahab and his wife Jezebel, okay? And King Ahab and Jezebel are the kings and queen of Israel, okay? And they led the people of Israel to stop following Jesus. At this time, they were following the god Baal, I don't really know. What is it? Baal. Same thing. But they were following this false god and all these other pagan gods. And so they were like, all right, if you're a prophet of God, we're killing you. And the wife was like, you're done for if you be following Jesus. And so Elijah, a prophet of God, was not in a good place right here, obviously, because he could have been killed. But anyway, so this is the backstory. This is where they're at. And there's been a drought for 3 years. There hasn't been any rain. There's been a famine because they weren't following Jesus. He gave them a warning, and they didn't listen. So all of Israel didn't have any rain or anything. This is a lot of backstory, but you need to know it, okay? Y'all listening? You follow me? Y'all good? Thumbs up? All right. So there's been this drought and everything. Well, Elijah comes back. He's like, all right, y'all. Jesus is ready to bring some rain, okay? He's got y'all. He's doing this thing. And so Elijah comes back, and he faces Ahab, and he's like, all right, bring your people here. And they have a showdown, y'all. They have a showdown of the gods to see which God is real. And so they build this altar, and they're like, all right, you make your offering to your God, Baal. I almost said Baal again. And I'm going to make mine to my God over here. And I really wish that I could look like Olaf right now. Y'all see Frozen 2 where he's like, and there's one sister powerless and all this stuff. You see what I'm talking about? I really wish I was like that dramatic, but I can't be. But anyways, this is them. And they have this offering over here to the false gods and this one over here to the real God to figure out which God is real. And obviously Elijah's over here mocking them like, bro, what you doing? Your God ain't real. But then obviously our God answers. And he's like, fire, boom. And then he ends up praying and they bring rain. So ultimately, there was fire God answered with, and then he also answered with rain. So he was great. He was doing great. But anyways, King Ahab and Jezebel found out about it, which isn't good because they don't like prophets of God. And so we're going to pick up in 1 Kings 19, verses 1 through 4. And it says, Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. And then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, so may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow. Then he was afraid, and he arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he asked that he might die, saying, it is enough now, O Lord. Take my life away, for I'm no better than my father's. First off, this dude dramatic, y'all. Like, he literally was so afraid that he, laid out under this tree and was like, God, I'm done. Just let me die. Let me die right here. Because I missed a part. But anyways, Elijah actually killed the prophets that were following the false gods. And so Jezebel was like, you kill my people, I'm going to kill you, pretty much is what he said. And so literally, I mean, he had a reason to be afraid, right? Because, like, he was scared that he was literally going to die. But he didn't have to be this dramatic and be like, all right, God, just let me die. Like, I am done for. And so I want to look at this real quick. What does fear do? One, it makes us run. So Elijah literally was doing what God was calling him to do. He was like praying and answering and all these things. But as soon as he got this statement that he might die, he ran. And how many times do we, when we're faced with fear, we choose to run instead of staying? When God's like, I need you to do this for me. You're like, ain't no way in heck that I am doing that. No, absolutely not. Or maybe he says, hey, I need you to not have any friends right now because I need you to focus on me. You're like, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I'm not being alone. We just decide to run from what we're supposed to be doing because we're fearful. When fear comes, we choose flight instead of fighting. And the second thing is that it makes us forget. It makes us forget. You see, Elijah, in this moment, he immediately forgot all that God did. God literally sent fire and, like, burned up this sacrifice. He sent rain after 3 years of not having any rain, and there was this drought. Like, he literally answered every single prayer that Elijah prayed. But in one instance, he immediately forgot all of it. It's like he just forgot, like, God could take care of him. Like, if he would have remembered all of this, he could have been like, oh, they're threatening to kill me. Hey, God, you got me? You go protect me? Like, we're good? Like, that's a smart thing to do, right? Like, if I already know that God has done all these other crazy things, I know he got me. Like, we good, Jesus. But that's not how he responded. He responded with doubt, and he completely forgot. And how many times when fear comes, we immediately forget all the memories of what God has done for us? Because that was me. As I was just dwelling on this, I was thinking, man, I'm so fearful of just speaking right now or not having a message. How many times has he provided a message before? How many times has he been there for you whenever you were afraid to step out, but he showed up anyway? Whenever you felt like you were alone, but he came in and he swept in and he said, I'm right here. Or when life is insane and you're in this season where there's just some chaos and he comes in and he says, here's some peace. You don't have to be afraid. He's done all these things for us before, but in one instance we forget about it and we begin to doubt instead of trusting him. And so we're going to keep on reading. I want to see how God responded to this because, y'all, I'm not even going to lie. Like, if I was God, I'd be like, what the heck, bro? Like, I literally just took care of you and did all these other things, but whatever. But in 1 Kings 5-8, it says, and he lay down and slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And he ate and drank and lay down again. And the angel of the Lord came again a second time and touched him and said, arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. And he arose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. And so I love this right here because I don't know about y'all, but when I mess up or when fear comes and I give into it, I tend to think man, God hates me. Anyone else be like, dang, like God condemns me? You feel like that sometimes? You don't want to put your hand up, but you feel like that, like God just hates me in the moment. Well, this is God literally just showing like, hey, I know you messed up and I know that you gave into the fear that you really didn't need to give into, but I'm still going to provide for you either way. I'm not going to come at you and be like, what the heck? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you listen to me? Instead, he's going to feed you. And he's going to water you. He says, you're hungry, let me provide the food that's nourishment to you. He says, you're thirsty, you feel empty right now, let me give you something that's going to refresh your spirit, that's going to refresh your soul. You know, I don't just believe that he fed him physically, he fed him spiritually. He fed him emotionally. He prepared him for what he was getting ready to do. And that's the same thing that God does for us. If we fall into fear, we fall into sin, we automatically think, man, like God hates me. But no, he's saying, it's okay, but let me prepare you for what's coming. Let me prepare you for where you're going. And that's exactly what he's doing right here with Elijah. He's saying, I got you. Let me feed you. Let me give you exactly what you need so that way you have the strength. Because right now, you're not there. Right now, you're not there. And not only did he give him the food and nourishment, but he protected him so that he could rest. And we oftentimes, I think we neglect like the importance of rest and resting in him. And that's so important because when we fall into this place where fear is coming at us and it's coming at our mind and it's just attacking us, we have to be so well rested so that way we can attack it back. We can say, no fear, I don't think so, because I have Jesus inside of me. And instead of responding that way, we're so tired and we're so empty because we haven't rested that instead we just let it attack us and we fail. And so it is so important that we will let him feed us and water us and give us that strength. And so, y'all, we cannot let fear win. Bless it. I don't know what I just said. But, y'all, it's not the time to shrink back. I don't know if y'all have, like, been out there, but it's kind of crazy out there, like, literally. And the thing is, we have to be able to face it, because if we don't, who will? Like, we're J17, right? So we're supposed to be, like, top notch. We're supposed to be up there with the Lord, like, best friends, you know? But if we're not up there, who is going to be? And we have to be able to stand up against fear when fear comes. When he says, I need you to say something at school, I need you to do this, we just say, we got it, we got you, God. We will do this for you. Instead of letting fear come and just pull us off the stage. And the thing is, we're only as strong as he is inside of us. If we want to be able to fight fear, he has to be inside of us. He has to be able to rise up. And so in order for that to happen, we have to put him inside of us. We're only as strong as he is. And so let's look at how to fight. I'm going really fast, but it's okay. All right, how to fight. So the first thing is that we have to recognize what we possess. Recognize what we possess. We have to know the weapons that are in our bag. We're talking about fighting or choosing flight. And the thing is, if you fight, you have to have weapons, right? You have to know what you're fighting with, you know. But the thing is, instead of relying on the tools that he's given us and the weapons that we have, we tend to choose our own strength. And instead of doing it with him, we do it by ourselves. And so I may need someone to help me, but. All right, so picture this, you guys. You want to help me? Come on, girl. So picture this, just pull it real quick. Picture this. This is us with our fear right here. I want you to try to pull that apart real quick. Just pull it. No, not that way. Pull it. Stretch it. Yeah, hard as heck, isn't it? Yeah. Well, this is us when we're trying to fight fear by ourselves. We're over here and we're like, I got you, fear. I ain't going to be alone. This is stupid. I got you. Like, we are fighting fear out of our own strength. When God's over here and he's saying, hey, oh, just kidding. It's that easy. Like, I've literally given you the weapons that you need to attack the fear, but because you don't know this is in your bag, you never use it. You never use it. You can thank you. Take that with you. There you go. But anyways, this is what we're doing. And so when fear comes, instead of using the tools that he's given us and speaking against it, we're trying to do it out of our own authority and our own power, and it doesn't work that way. It's never going to work that way. He's saying, you know, you may have this fear, and it's saying, I can't get through this. Like, the world is insane. This is crazy. But his tool, John 16:33 says, I've overcome the world. If he's overcome the world, he's got you. What about fear says, I'm going to be alone. Deuteronomy 31:6 says, he will never leave nor forsake you. Or what are they going to think of me? What are they going to think of me if I let my feelings show, if I let people know that I'm actually struggling, because everyone's perfect, right? But what if I actually let that show inside of me? And what are they going to say about me at school? They're going to say that I'm stuck up, or they're going to say that I'm in a dark place. They're going to say all these things. But Galatians 1:10 says, am I trying to win the approval of people or of God? And this is what we're doing, is that instead of using the tools and the weapons that he's given us, we're doing it by ourselves. And I've done this before, and I'm sure y'all have too, to where when fear comes, we just let it consume us. And we try to fight it by ourselves because we feel like if we acknowledge it and we say it out loud to someone that it's a weakness, and it's not. We tend to think that vulnerability is a weakness, but it's not. It's actually a strength, because when we're vulnerable, he's able to speak to us and through us. And guys, y'all too, y'all think that y'all so tough. Y'all really are. Y'all be strong. Y'all got muscles and stuff, but like, y'all not that strong, okay? We know that y'all be struggling too, even though you don't want to face it or admit it. Like, there isn't just an automatic, like, I'm a guy, so nothing can touch me, and I'm perfectly fine, okay? Maybe there is, and I don't know about it because I'm not a guy. But anyways, you have things going on too. So it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to open up and be like, all right, God, I'm struggling with some stuff. You can tell your friends, like, hey, I need you to be praying with me because I'm struggling right now. We can't do it out of our own strength or our own authority, or even the authority of others. We can't rely on our friends to fight battles for us, because they can't. They're not any stronger than you are, okay? I promise. Even though they be so holy, man, Jess is so holy. Kevin and Connor and Kinley and all them, they are so holy. Presley, have you seen her? Blessed, they be fighting some battles for me. We can't do anything for y'all. You have to fight it with God and yourself. You have to do it with his weapons and not any other weapons that you find just laying around. It's not going to work the same way. And so we talked about last week giving him our whole heart and giving him our everything. And the thing is, if we only have like a jar that we've given to God, we're like, all right, we got this much water going on. And then the world out there, if we think that we're going to come and face fear and face that darkness with our tiny little cup, it's going to be like a little splash. It ain't going to do nothing, okay? Instead, the world's going to come and contaminate us. Because if we're not strong enough, it's going to consume us before we ever touch it. And that's what's going to happen with fear, is if we're not strong enough, if we haven't put him inside of us, it's going to come and it's going to contaminate us, and it's going to take us right off the stage before we ever make a step. And so the second thing that we can do to fight is to prepare for battle. You see, Elijah, after he got the food and the water and everything from Jesus, it says that he took a trip for 40 days and 40 nights, and he went into the wilderness with God. And the thing is, you have to take the time to go into the wilderness with Jesus. If you want to be able to face anything that comes your way, you have to spend time in the wilderness to prepare. You think about Jesus, even he spent time in the wilderness. The thing is, you have to decide if your time in the wilderness is worth more than your time in the world. And this is something that I've learned and then I forgot, and I've learned and I forgot over and over again. And it's something that you have to be intentional with. I think it was like junior or senior year of high school. I decided I was fed up, y'all. Like, I was like, forget the world. This is stupid. I love the Lord. And so, y'all, I woke up like every morning. I would meet Jess, and we would spend time with the Lord at like 6 a.m. First off, I am a terrible morning person. Anyone else not a morning person? Yeah, y'all are my people. Like, I am so grouchy, and I don't like to talk to people, and it's just not fun. So it was not fun for me, not even gonna lie, but it was so worth it. No, I love you so much. You are great, but I was not great at the time. But anyways, I decided that my time in the wilderness was so much more important than my time in the world, because I had to prepare myself for battle. And I want to encourage you guys that you spend time in your wilderness with Jesus. Going back to the weapons that we have, how can we recognize something that we don't know about? If you don't know that this is in your backpack, how are you supposed to use it? And how are we supposed to know about all those verses, knowing that we have authority, knowing that we have peace, knowing that we have a confidence, knowing that we have a God who trusts us and loves us? How are we supposed to know that if we don't ever pick up our Bible? And I don't want to turn this into a whole, like, you better read your word and all these other things. That's a part of living for Jesus, first off. Like, you're just going to have to. But you're never going to live in the fullness of what God has called you to if you don't ever open it up to and read about it. It says that we inherit the kingdom of God whenever we're saved. But how do you know what you inherit if you don't read it? If you don't ever look to see, well, what do I inherit? I'm still learning things. I'll be reading something, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even know I had that. What the heck? Like, literally, you have to open your Bible and understand, what do you have? What do you possess? But we have to prepare. We have to prepare in the wilderness. And maybe some of y'all say, well, I've been in the wilderness for a minute, okay? I've been following the Lord for years. I'm doing great and everything. But I don't feel like I'm really even prepared, no matter how much time I've spent in the wilderness. Well, how intentional are you being? First off. And second, sometimes the battle plans that you come up with aren't going to work for every battle. You see, sometimes the tactics that he gives you in the wilderness to fight one battle aren't going to work for the next. So maybe in one season you were reading your word and you were just listening to worship music and stuff by yourself, and that worked for this season. But maybe this next one, you have to do it with someone else. Maybe you need a friend to read the word with. Maybe you need to listen to some podcasts to get the word inside of you more. I don't know what your wilderness looks like, what the battle plan looks like for you, but you have to figure it out by yourself, and you can't do that unless you spend time with them. You have to spend time with them. And I just want to encourage you guys that if you want to fight fear, if you want to actually walk in a freedom and be able to just like walk with like your shoulders back and be like, yeah, I got this and everything, then you have to spend time with them, and you have to recognize what you possess. We can't let fear win anymore. We can't let it hold us back. I feel like I let it hold me back so much in high school, honestly. Like, I look back, and I've been talking to a couple of people about it, how in high school people called me stuck up, and they called me rude, and they called me all these things, but they didn't tell me until after high school, like, how does that even work? But they would tell me these things, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm literally the nicest person ever. I will talk to you. I'm just shy. Like, I didn't want to talk to anyone just because that wasn't my personality. And I don't even know where I was going with that. But anyways, but that's how I was in high school. And I was so fearful of what people would think of me. And honestly, I'm still like that. I still struggle. I'm like, dang, are they even listening right now? Do I even make sense? I feel like I've stumbled in 10 different ways. Like, I promise none of us are perfect. Like, we still have these thoughts going through our heads. But are we going to let fear control us? Or are we going to step out and say, despite the fear, the Jesus inside of me is bigger? You see, Jesus looks at fear, and he looks at it just as a spider, and he's like, fear, that's all you got? I got you. Like, squash that little bug right there. He doesn't see it as a big issue. For him, it just seems so small, but for us, it looks like this hoop over here just pulling us off the stage. And the thing is, we have to recognize that it's there. Some of us don't even recognize the fear inside of us. And so for us, it just seems natural. We say, that's my personality to not just step out. No, that's fear saying you're too scared and you can't do it. We have to recognize what it is holding us back in order to get free from it. Y'all, we could do some crazy things if we didn't live in fear. If we didn't live in fear of not being good enough. If we didn't live in fear of messing up. If we didn't live in fear of what is my family going to think. If we didn't live in fear of I'm not worthy enough. Do they know my past? If we didn't live in fear of I have to have control so I can't give it all to God. I love that Kevin in pre-service prayer, he was literally saying something that I wrote down, just talking about giving God our everything, that some of us are fearful of giving it to him. We're fearful of being at J17 and actually worshiping because what are people going to say? Or we are fearful of actually worshiping him because what if we start? If we start now, then we have to keep going, right? And what if he makes me give up these friends and give up this and give up this? It's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. Okay? If he asks you to give something up, it's only because he has something better for you. And that's the only reason. He's not going to make you go without. He actually says and promises life more abundantly. And so I just want you guys to grasp that we don't have to live in this kind of fear. That we can walk with our shoulders back and heads high, following Jesus like crazy and be these wildfires just all around this place. Can you imagine if every single one of us just had a tiny little spark together, we would be so huge. Like our fire would burn like crazy. And that's how y'all could look in your school if fear didn't pull you off the stage every time you were asked to do something or asked to say something to your family or whatever it is. And so what I want you guys to do is to close your eyes with me. How many of y'all can say, all right, Maddi, I've heard what you've said, and I think that I do have a fear. Whatever it is, I have some kind of fear, and it's holding me back. Can you raise your hand for me? I see those hands. You can put them down. All right. This is the real one. How many of you can say, okay, I see this fear, and I'm tired of it pulling me off stage. I'm tired of getting scared every time I should be doing something for the Lord. Every time I need to say something, every time I try to worship, I'm tired of it pulling me off the stage. And I say I'm not in flight mode anymore. I choose to fight. I'm going to fight this fear with everything I have so that way I can walk in freedom with the Lord. Will you raise your hand? All right, I see those hands. Y'all can open your eyes real quick. So what we're going to do is I have some people in the back, some of my amazing leaders. They're going to pass out these little note cards and some pens. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down that fear. Okay, we're going to take a second. I want you to write it down. If you don't have one, that's fine. You be fearless, okay, and teach me how you got there because your girl's struggling, okay? But if that's you, I want you to write down that fear. Because like I said, you have to recognize it in order to ever break it off your life. There's power in saying something out loud. And so just take a second and write it down. What is it that's pulling you back? If you don't have a pen, they're passing some out, or you can just use one of your friends beside you. Can I get one of those note cards too, please, if we have one? I'm going to write mine down too. Because, y'all, I'm not going to lie. Your girl be struggling when it comes to this. right, I got you, bro. You good? Got me. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna act in the physical because I believe we're gonna see it in our spiritual walk. Okay. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna take your note card, and I want us to rip it in half on the count of 3. Hold on, not yet. Let me explain. Now, the reason that I want us to do this is because when this fear comes crawling back, I want you to picture this moment right here to where you said, forget it. Forget fear. I'm choosing to fight instead of choosing flight. I'm not letting this hold me back anymore. I want to walk in freedom, okay? So on the count of 3, let's rip this thing in half. You ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, hey, don't rip it in 2,000 pieces. Don't leave all this on the floor, all right? But I want you, hey, seriously, I want you to keep this. Keep it somewhere where you're going to see it. And every time that you pass by, you're going to say, you know what? I don't have to be fearful of not being good enough. I don't have to be fearful of not having anything to say. I don't have to have that fear anymore. So as we end, I'm going to pray over you guys. And I want y'all to truly believe with me as I'm praying this, okay? All right, Father, I just thank you so much for every single person in this room right now. Father, I thank you that you inside of us is so much bigger than the fear behind us, Father God. I thank you so much that you are igniting something on the inside of these students, Father, that you would ignite new passions, that you would ignite a new hunger, that you would ignite a new thirst to step out, Father. And I just speak right now against fear and say that it has no authority. The enemy, you are hilarious, you are funny, but you have no power over us. So, Father, I pray that as they go into their schools, that they would walk with a new confidence. As they walk into their homes, they would walk with a new strength. As they walk with their friends and their family, Father, I just pray that you would surround them with who you are. Surround them with your strength. Surround them with your authority. Surround them with your power. And we say, fear, you have to leave. You have no authority and you have no power in pulling us back anymore. We refuse to shrink back. We refuse to let you debilitate us and keep us numb. Instead, we are walking in freedom. We are going to walk in a freedom of the Lord because we do not have to fear. Your word says that we can cast all our cares and anxieties on you, Father. So that's what we're doing right now. We say we are giving it to you. We are laying it down. We are not picking it back up. In Jesus' name.